What's going on, EoP sports fans? Welcome in. It's Wednesday night. It's 8:30. It's time for EoP. I'm Big Al.
I'm Freddie Burns.
And our boy Joe Sharon will be with us in just a moment. We got a lot to cover. It is NFL Draft Eve, Fred. It's what we all work up to this entire offseason, if you want to call it. Got a lot of things going on. Got a lot to cover on that as well. Phillies are playing. They're up 3-1 over the Reds in the third of 4-game series right now. Bottom of the sixth, and Sir Anthony is up and pitching with no outs, a guy on base, and not really hitting the strike zone. Not the greatest thing, but whatever. But the Sixers, we're going to start with that. We're going to go right into the Sixers, losing 2 tough games to New York at Madison Square Garden to the Knicks. First one, I put it on the Sixers. The second one, I put on the Sixers as well, but some other areas that kind of we'll talk about in a moment. But overall, Fred, how do you feel going into tomorrow? Of course, Sixers and NFL draft going on at the same time.
Going into tomorrow, how do I feel? Let me just vent a little bit about what happened first, because I don't.
The floor is yours.
We'll get into tomorrow, but game one, I was let me first start with this rebounding. Okay, this rebounding is pissing me off. This is like fundamentally sound basketball. The ball goes up in the air. You find a body. You put your rear end into said body. You put your arms out. You get low. You use leverage, and you get the rebound. And for the Sixers in game one to get out-rebounded, offensive rebounds by 20-some offensive rebounds. I forget the amount of second chance points. I believe it was 22, 20, whatever the number was totally outrageous. The rebounding needs to get cleaned up. Fast forward to game two, they cleaned it up. They only got out-rebounded by 2 rebounds on the offensive rebounds. But when the game was on the line, and I will get into the fouls and the timeout and all that stuff, they did not box out. They did not find a man. They players standing around looking at the ball as DiVincenzo fired up the first 3. There was opportunity without all the mistakes, all the bad calls, all that stuff. They still should have won the game if they box out. And then throughout the game, mental toughness. You have to be tougher than the other team. There were times they were trying to set screens for picks at the 28-foot line because the ball handler couldn't get past the defender because of how physical and just tough the Knicks defenders were. So I know we're going to blame the refs and all that stuff, but it's on the Sixers too. Fast forward. Now let's go to that final. Well, Al, first you. I've talked a lot. How did you feel in that 2 minutes there, that final 30 seconds, that 8-0 run? That stunning 8-0 run. That before you go, mind you, the Sixers announcers mushed the freaking heck out of Ala Abdunalbi, freaking saying the game's over. It wasn't over. Kate going with it. You never do that. You never do that. And
Especially in a playoff game.
What
Especially
mushes?
in a playoff game.
What mushes?
And I've seen on Twitter that they got a lot of heat for it as well. But at that point, the simple word to explain how I felt and where I was angry. I was mad at everybody. I was wearing at Villanova's Twitter for tweeting out stuff about the Knicks. I was mad at everybody and their mother at that time. Listen, Fred, I'll agree with you. In the end all be all, it's on the Sixers. Some missed opportunities with free throws that could have changed the way things looked. That would have been a complete difference. Again, boxing out. I blame Kyle Lowry's been a breath of fresh air for the most part. I ate a lot of crow with that one because I thought Kyle Lowry was just cooked and he was, he's just going to be a guy, maybe a little veteran presence at best, but that was it. But his mistake, the veteran who made the mistake was not. He should have called the timeout when he should have called the timeout and said, "You guys aren't boxing out. Nobody's getting open. Why am I standing here trying to get this ball in?" Like that's exactly what happened. So that's where I get annoyed with. That's what I've gotten upset with. And yeah, we'll get into it a little bit about the refs and everything else. But yeah, ultimately it was on the Sixers for not winning it. They looked like they were in control for most of the game, second game, I should say. A little bit fell off in that third into the fourth where things got a little closer than it should have been. But the Sixers' mistakes cost them dearly in the long run. But since Joe just joined us, I'm gonna let him give us his thoughts on the last game, and then we'll get into the to the refs and the areas that you can't control.
Sixers game 2 recap from Joe coming at you. I'll be honest with you, man. I don't after that game 1, knowing that they were going back in the Garden, the way that they played, I really had no faith that they were going to win game 2 anyway. And then they just scratch and claw and fight, and somehow they go up, up 5, 20, 30, 27, 30 seconds left. And then the whole cluster after the debacle happens. I don't know what's going on with these refs. Apparently it's going on league-wide because, of course, after the Sixers game, the Lakers had a thing, even though they dropped the bag and, lost by or had a 20-point lead. But like LeBron did, say something about the Sixers game and why is there a replay center and all this other stuff. Ultimately, the Sixers lost that game. You don't give up 8 points in the final 30 seconds. I know some unfortunate things happen with the 2 missed timeouts and the 2 fouls that weren't called. But hey, things happen. You also can't give up the 8 points with 30 seconds left. Like, they deserve to lose that game. They lost that game for themselves. You can have a gripe against the refs. I know that the 2-minute wrap up, whatever that thing is, came out today saying, like, yes, there was fouls. Yes, there were timeouts that should have been called. But ultimately, you're out there to win the game. And that's not what they did. I hope that they could come back and at least win 1 of 2 in Philly. I don't know. I'm so at a loss for words because I thought that they were ready to come in and win these 2 games, or at least one of them, Madison Square Garden. Game 1, they go up, they're up 10, they're up 12, they're up 15. And then, the second half comes and they just lose it. Really, game 2 kind of started out the same way. They were up again by 10, by 12. And, Boston, I feel like a part of the Sixers, because there's been so many people out with injuries, they don't have the type of chemistry that the Knicks have. And I know this might be a lot of what people don't want to hear, but I think DiVincenzo, Hart, and Brunson playing the last 7-8 years together, I think that is huge. And people want to just dismiss that for whatever reason. And I'll say it again. They have home court again when they come into Philadelphia, playing for Nova, being from the area, friends and family here. I mean, it's an uphill climb already, before game 3 even starts with those 3 coming back to Philadelphia.
Yeah, and the other thing is the one thing the Sixers overall have to stop doing, not just the other night, but like stop foul hunting at the end. I mean, they did it last year. They did a lot of that, looking at the end, like instead of trying to go up and get points and just trying to make a reasonable chance to get a ball in the basket. No, they're going foul hunting, and that's one of the things that kind of irked me, even at the way end when they had the about like 12 seconds ish left to get the ball inbound and get down court and try to win the games or a chance to get ahead in the game or tie the game up. I guess it was at that point, but the foul hunting annoys me a little bit. Just trust yourselves. Just trust yourselves and get the ball in the hands of the guy that needs to, if it's Joel, if it's Tyrese Maxey or whoever it is. But so, yeah, like we said, they came out, the NBA did say that there was 2 fouls missed, 2 fouls missed. But that's, again, how many times with missed calls? I mean, we've seen, even looking over here at the Phillies game, there's times when missed calls are made in our favor, and there's times that missed calls are made not in our favor. Those are things you can't control. It's the things that you can control that annoy me, that this team, and we talk about, how deep this team is, right? How, it's deepest this team has been in a while. But at the same time, outside a little bit from Kyle Lowry here, who else has done much more than Tyrese Maxey or Joel Embiid?
Well, they haven't got time either. They're banged up too, and one guy they're going to get back, Anthony Melton, tomorrow night, which is good, perimeter defender. But to your point here with the refs and that final 30 seconds, I am more mad at the players than I am the calls. There were plays in this game where, and I think the refs certainly favored the Knicks. But there were screens. I saw Nick Batum hugging New York Knicks and calls not being made. So it does happen both ways. It definitely, that was ridiculous. But Kyle Lowry, He's great. Been awesome. Veteran. Been there before. You can't throw that ball to Tyrese Maxey all the time.
Timeout should have been called. Timeout should have been called.
Well,
He should have been yelling.
Well,
at
they
them.
they were trying to call timeout.
No, he should have called out. He should have held the ball.
But the guy on the inbound in the ball needs to just call timeout. And then there's nothing to be left. There's no confusion. He just timeout, ref, and they give you the timeout. Secondly, when Maxey got possession of the ball, and I know he's thrown to the ground, he was fouled, maybe he was disheveled. You have to have basketball IQ. You're on the ground. Throwing the ball underneath someone's legs is never probably the right option. Like, he could have laid there and said timeout and got out of the situation. And Nick Nurse, I'm going to push back a little bit on this. We've seen the still shots of the timeout, but if you watch that film live, he's standing like this, and then he's kind of indecisive. So he didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? And then he finally goes timeout, timeout. And as he's doing that, Maxey is simultaneously losing possession of the ball. So I can see where the refs jacked that up, as much as people don't want to hear that. If he would have been decisively timeout, 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 like Tom Thibodeau would have ran out on the floor. Any other coach would have been on the floor, like timeout, timeout. He was not sure, so I can see that. So
now, Fred, I completely agree with you when it comes to the still frames and watching it live. The way I took that was he went like that to call the timeout, noticed that nobody saw him, and then got frantic and started doing it. So I don't know if he was indecisive, but I took it the opposite way, that he would just kind of like went like that to call the timeout, and then put his hands down, like, and then realized that nothing was happening, no whistles or anything. So then he got frantic about it.
I just think he would have lost his mind, like, from the get. If you know what I mean. If you're like, even if you were like, say, coaching your son, and you call and you do that, and the ref doesn't respond to you, I'd lose my I'd be like, time out, like, right. I'd be like, what the? But he like stopped. So like, I just think he should have got the timeout. Don't get me wrong, but it could have been better there. But ultimately it comes down to the players. But then finally on this, it wasn't over then. The turnover happens, and DiVincenzo misses the first three. And Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, and Nick Batum. Embiid, he put a little bit of body on. I don't want to fully. More Batum and Harris. They might as well be watching the game like us. Let's just watch and see what happens, guys. Yeah. As they run down and get an offensive rebound, it's just, you box out. I ranted about it in the beginning, Joe, before you got here. It's just, especially with the game on the line, you got to box out. So I blame the just for that loss. Yeah, even further than the refs.
And even if one of those guys, for whatever, couldn't get open, they were just playing some great defense on them. It would have actually been smarter for somebody to run down court and throw the ball in versus trying to shovel it under somebody's feet right in front of the basket. Like, that would have killed more time. Like, there's just so many dumb things.
Yeah, I don't think he.
No, I'm talking when he was inbounding it. Like, it would have been smarter to go towards half court and do it there versus right there under the basket. There's just so many dumb little things. Yeah, that they if you said, listen, here's a checklist of dumb things not to do, and they checked them all off. Yeah, like it was pretty rough.
The rebounding was absolutely atrocious, especially the second and third opportunities for the Knicks. And I'm not going to kill Kyle Lowry on this one, but he also missed one of two with those free throws. And if he would have banged back both of them, it would have been a tie game after that DiVincenzo three-pointer. So, and again, not killing Kyle Lowry. I think that he is laying it all out there. And he's also playing to the point where I think that the Sixers maybe should bring him back for another season next year, especially with his experience. But if he makes both of them, I mean, it's a completely different game.
Yeah, that's a great point. I forgot about that missed free throw.
Yeah,
that was huge.
Yeah, that's why I talked about it earlier. I think, Joe, you weren't here. I said some missed opportunities with just taking free throws, and like those things could make a world of a difference. Listen, it's the things that I said you can't control, and that's the refs. You can't control the refs. You can yell, you could scream, you could plead your case. You can't control them, unless they're willing to look at it and see if they made a mistake, which they're not going to admit to in the middle of the game. They can admit to after. What do they care? Game's over for them. So it's the things you can control that really bit them in the ass. Like that in the long run was what really bit this team in the ass. And I know Mike's chiming in here in the comments. The Phillies are now down 4-3 to the Reds between Sir Anthony and now Strom.
That's all Rojas's fault.
Yeah,
He's laying out in the center field, and ground rule doubles are going by, and then he just had an error. So that's your boy.
Rough.
Oh, yeah, it's my boy now. Here we go.
Billy Covington checking in. Do you think the Knicks have the Sixers number? No, I think the Sixers have the Sixers number. I think both of those games were winnable.
Great way to put it.
I'll say this. I'll say they're definitely out muscling them. Like they're just out. They're out playing
Mental
basketball. Them
too.
like it's just like
toughness,
like, and maybe the Sixers thought this was going to be more of a walk in the park. We saw the stupid words from Paul Reed saying, "Oh, well, this is the team we wanted." Maybe Joe's correct that this team has had a lot more time to gel technically since they played together previously before they even played on the Knicks together. But
certainly that's a good point. They've been in big moments together. They've won championships at the collegiate level together. We were rooting for them.
But ultimately, this is the Sixers' fault. It's all the Sixers' fault. They should have won both games. Definitely game 2. Game 1, I guess you can make an argument going both ways a little bit. And if there's Knicks fans popping in, I'm sure we'll hear about that. Oh no, we beat you. Game 1, you can argue me. Game 2, that was all the Sixers' bonehead mistakes, one after another. But do you know what, guys? One thing I have to point out is what's not a mistake is going to let's go to Baltimore with Philly Sports Trips. Going to phillysportstrips.com is not a mistake because you're going to find a great trip. Go hang out with other Philly sports fans. They have Phillies going to Baltimore in June. What a great you don't have to take a whole week off or go anywhere. It's a great bus trip for one day. You'll have a good time. They have trips to Boston, Chicago, Pittsburgh. If you want to watch the Phillies, go to PNC Park. They also have the trip to Brazil coming up, and once they release that Eagles schedule, we'll learn all about it more and so much more going on at phillysportstrips.com. And guys, also remind you that May 11th, the Fightins final will be back at the Streetlight Kitchen and Bar, 5400 Fern Boulevard.
We are back.
That's right. Holiday Inn and Suites at the Drexel Brook Event Center. May 11th. It's actually a Saturday this time, which is the Saturday before Mother's Day. And it's perfect timing because leading up to the pregame will be a brunch. So you can bring mom out, your wife out, your aunt, your sister, whoever it is. Celebrate Mother's Day with them. Hang out with us. Watch the game. We're going to be outside, a beautiful bar, a TV outside. It's supposed to be great. As of right now, the extended forecast is looking warm. So don't want to miss the opportunity. Come on out, and they'll have a great menu just for that night during the Fightins final and during the Phillies game with some great food and drink specials. So check it on out. Come out to the Streetlight Kitchen and Bar, 5400 Fern Boulevard, Drexel, PA, and Holiday Inn and Suites at the Drexel Brook Event Center on May 11th, starting at 2:30, guys. So come on out.
Now, I don't know if this moves the needle for anybody listening, but yours truly will be at Phillies Orioles Baltimore that Saturday, July 15th. So I don't know if people, if they're running to get their tickets from possibly.
I just got a text from Vince. Their site crashed just after you said those words, Joe. Site crashed.
I know.
It seemed to be women between the age of 25 and 40. It's all that went up to buy. So it's the animal magnetism, Joe. It's the
you're
animal magnetism.
Not telling me anything new here, Al. You're not telling me anything new. All right.
Animal magnetism wins every time, Joe. Every time.
Now, I did, on a serious note, I did actually want to ask you guys something. Now, of course, tomorrow is a big day. Sixers game 3, NFL draft, and of course, game 4, Phillies Reds. We all have multiple TVs and multiple, ways we're going to be watching or streaming everything, every moment of it all. But I want to ask you guys, what gets the big TV? What gets the smaller TV? What gets the phone/iPad? Which way you guys going here?
Well, for me, I think the big TV will go to the Sixers, but the mute button will be on and off. The satellite TV will be Edge of Philly Sports draft show. I will be watching that to tune into the audio there. Shane Haff, Ryan Reese, David Neese, Mark Henry Jr., Dibes. That'll be awesome. The Phillies are on at 1, so they won't be a factor. And then
okay, I didn't know that.
And then
actually, I'm on the post game for that as well. I'll be handling the post game for that around 4-ish in the
Nice.
afternoon. So.
And then I'll probably have a secondary draft and another NBA game possibly on, or NHL game on, because I got the 4 satellites in the main one. So but yeah, Sixers and the draft show will go back and forth volume, but Sixers are getting the big TV.
Yeah, and
Now-
I would say the Sixers on the big TV, and either on my big iPad or a laptop, I'll have the draft on, because that's more just visually and just kind of peeking in on that. But I'll also be producing that draft show, so I'll be a little bit in between that as well. So
Yeah. Now, me and my wife, we're going back and forth, because I told her today, I said, listen, I said, if you ask me right now, I'm going draft big TV. I'm going Sixers on the smaller. And then what I thought the Phillies would be on, I would put them on my phone or tablet or whatever. She gave me the look like, no. Sixers big TV, draft can go on the small one. And, after thinking about it, I mean, I get it. I still got day 2 coverage, day 3 coverage. Sixers do have to go the big TV, but I was really, really leaning towards the draft.
Happy wife, happy life. Good wife. Good call.
Let me ask you guys a question, because back in the day, before we could do all that, having so many devices, I used to go to the bar a lot to watch the draft, because they had multiple TVs, and that's what I'd be like, I'm going to the draft. I want to go to the bar to watch the draft. Like, that was kind of my thing before I was able to do it on our,
before we were spoiled with technology.
Yeah. What's Quentin saying?
Quentin's pulled a joke. Big day. What's happening tomorrow?
Not much in the Philly sports world around here.
Kane checking in. Nick Nurse to advance the ball half court after Brunson 3. I don't know. I don't think they had a timeout, Kane. I think that was the last timeout, was the one he used right after they nailed the 3. Because DiVincenzo nails the 3, and then he calls that final timeout to huddle.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the last one.
But some people were arguing on Twitter that they had a timeout. One thing, going into game 3, I want to touch on, and we didn't really touch on it, is game 1, that injury to Joel Embiid, and how injured he is playing injured, because he is not the same guy right now.
No.
I know he's putting up the points, but physically down low, they're just killing us in the paint. The center for the Knicks,
nobody would ever attack the paint like that.
Is dropping that floater all day, and he does not have the lift, the jump if he doesn't trust it after trying that dunk. I don't know. Points in the paint, they beat us 40-28. I know like 12 of those points, 16, maybe 16 are straight from that center and that little floater. I can't see that thing to keep going on. But I do think game 3, this whole referee debacle is going to be an advantage to us, because they are going to call it our way now.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. You've seen this happen before. Even going back when Nick Nurse started complaining about Embiid not getting the calls or not getting called, and then you saw the Raptors start to get some calls in that series. So I just think they will take game 3 tomorrow night, and then game 4, which is going to be another big day. You got is the NFL draft end on Saturday this year?
Ends on Saturday, but
Saturday.
it's early. It's over pretty early. It starts at like 10 a.m. or something like that.
Like 10 to 3 or something.
Maybe it's noon. Yeah.
Then Sunday you'll have Sixers at 1, 70, 80 degrees it's supposed to be, and Phillies at 4 because they're in San Diego.
Yeah.
So if they can pull this out tomorrow night, which I think they will, then the big game is going to be Sunday.
Yeah, no, listen, they, the refs calling it one way or the other. Do you want to take the refs off the court, then let them throw elbows, let them do what they got to do, let them duke it out. I don't care. It's just they have to not be out physical. And listen, I was on the record saying before Joel Embiid actually came back to not even bring him back if it was going to risk. When he did that whole off the backboard and fell, like his knee just collapsed, we all, wore our brown pants for a minute. And that's what I'm afraid of. That was like my ultimate fear. Like, is the ability to possibly be okay to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, worth it to risk him? Because I'm worried about 2025 more than anything, because that's where, this team could be a whole different ball of wax and be a much better team, because we're gonna have a lot of get rid of the ghost known as Tobias Harris, who just likes to disappear after the first. Oh, I hit a couple threes, guys. Right, I can take the night off now. Okay, cool, thanks.
I'll give him this. He actually did play pretty good defense on Brunson for most of the game, but that was a switch. But yeah, he's a chicken with his head cut off. Stupid turnover late in the quarter. No boxing out.
Yeah, that game one where he, oops it, or it gives it to himself off the backboard and goes in. Like, are you just watching it at that point and you're like shaking your head, like, what is this guy doing? Like I don't think it was trying to be like a show off type of move or finesse. Like, I think it just like ended up like happening. But still, it's like, what are we doing here? Like you're serving yourself off the backboard, and then they get hurt on the end part of it. What the hell?
So the Whit Merrifield finally coming up big for the Phillies. Hit a double, scored 2 more. Now it's just 5-4 Cincy. So they took away 2 runs there. 1 run.
1 run.
So, but they got a guy on third. But Phil chiming in here. Tobias Harris was the least of our issues in game 2. No, I'm not going to, like I said, was one of the many issues. And speaking of Phil Stifle, guys, if you haven't noticed, come in every morning now, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9:30. Phil Stifle's Trending in the AM is here on EoP, and it's been just only a few days, and it's been great. People really reacting to it and loving it. So, guys, if you have not checked it out, every Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, 8 a.m., the morning show. Break the dial, throw it away. You don't need it. Just pull up the phone and hang out with Phil, and where your opinions actually matter on Trending in the AM here on the Edge of Philly Sports Network. So check it on out.
Now, what a segue, because I was actually going to just bring up Trending in the AM and Phil, because I commented into the show 1, and I said, is it a violation just for us now to just accept that Joel Embiid is injury prone, and to almost in the back of your mind just like almost get to the point where you feel like it's okay to move on at this point?
Here's my thing with that. I think we've already accepted it. We know this is going to happen probably. How severe it is the question. I think we have to change the tune to, if trading him, you're not going to get anything worth the value you think you're going to get in return. Like, we never do. Like Iverson, Charles Barkley, like whenever you never get that in return. So I think we have to change the thought process to, who can we add that when Embiid's out, we don't solely rely on him. As Maxey evolves, is getting better, you're going to lose this cap space here for Tobias Harris. They won the tiebreaker. They actually have the 16th pick in the draft in the first round this year. So you have some cap space as well as ability to make trades to possibly add another star, whether that's Paul George via free agency, whether that's, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but the Warriors look like a rebuild. What if Steph Curry wants out? What if that's a trade you can make? He's injury prone though too. But there's always someone in the offseason that suddenly wants to be traded. You know what I mean? Out of nowhere. Like James Harden, even out of nowhere. We didn't know that was going to happen. Like he would have been here, demanded to be traded. So someone will pop up, and I think that's more what we're looking for. Because trading him, it's not you're going to get 21st rounders for him or anything like that. We have Maxey here. We don't want to go into a rebuild with all the cap space we have. Nick Nurse is here. He's not here to go into a rebuild. So I just don't. I just think you keep him and add around him.
And I can't agree with you more, because even we've seen how many first rounders the Sixers went through, and they only got Joel Embiid out of the whole deal. Ben Simmons was the second best. We saw how that played out. So 21st rounders doesn't mean you're going to even get a Joel Embiid type.
They got Tyrese Maxey.
Not in the. Oh, I'm talking like an early pick, like a top 5 pick, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, they got Tyrese Maxey, absolutely right. Hell, they even had Mikal Bridges, but that's the bet on that one. So
that was outside the top 10, though. But the 3 main picks were Fultz.
Well, so was Maxey,
Simmons,
wasn't he?
And Embiid. Yeah, well, you switched it to inside the top 10. I didn't.
Yeah, but my point is, I'd rather have a possibly injury-prone Joel Embiid, who is the type of talent that he is. It's on Daryl Morey and the Sixers brass to, like you said, put people around him. Like, it's not just
Why don't we just rest him till Christmas then?
Hey, you just got to add around him. But like Mike, you did this last 2 weeks ago. Give me a trade that you're going to get back for Joel Embiid. Like, give me one.
You're not
And
going to get
you still wouldn't have gotten after Zempi. You still wouldn't have gotten that because he's injury prone.
I don't think you're going to get any more for him now if you traded him this offseason than you did.
Good point, Kane.
But ultimately, like I said, like you need to find guys because, like you said, when Embiid comes off the court, the differential just changes dramatically. And they haven't been able, and Andre Drummond was the closest thing they had to an acceptable backup to Joel Embiid, and that should be what they're looking at. Yeah, and maybe you're right too. Like maybe they'll pick up somebody who wants out of another team, and they're going to have the opportunity, the space, and the spaces on the team to make a difference. And that's why I was ultimately so afraid of him hurting himself that it will trickle into 2025. Because they rushed him back because they wanted to get to the postseason. They thought they had some distant possibility of winning it all this year.
Real quick, when we segue into the Eagles, remind me to bring something up, something that's breaking and just came across my phone.
Well, go ahead.
All right. Jason Kelce Day at the OD is officially June 26th.
June
26th. Make a trade or something. I thought you were telling me they traded in the first round.
This is way bigger than that. This is way bigger than that. This is hanging out with Jason, Mayalata, Travis, Taylor Swift. I mean, they're all going to be there.
Taylor Swift's going to be there, Joe?
100%.
100%.
No doubt about it.
Couple more quick.
She loves Sea Isle.
She won't be there. That would be nuts. My daughter. I'll get my daughter. That daughter would lose her mind if I didn't bring her. But with Quentin checking in here on Oubre real quick. I'm all about Oubre, but dude, he's been like a little suspect here in the playoffs these last 2 games, Quentin. I don't know. I agree with Mitch's opinion. Toby played good defense, got key rebounds. He had a 1 key rebound, but he didn't box out late there at the end.
Quentin, rule number 1 at Edge of Philly Sports: we never agree with Mitch. even if he's right, just to disagree with him.
Does my opinion matter?
Not even. Not even on trending in the AM. Does your opinion matter, Mitch?
This is a good question from Billy. Do you think the NBA will ever have a need for a big man like Embiid? A healthy one, but not. Yeah, if he's healthy, but yeah, you can't have a healthy one if you have
finding
a
guy his size with his athleticism and his ability to hit shots, and when, like you said, when he's healthy, when he's healthy, it's scary. Like he's that good. It's just that we are a little snake bitten at times, and B, it's his injuries just come at the most inopportune time. Maybe if Joe said, like, maybe he got injured back like earlier January, and then he was able to kind of come back and rest a little bit more and kind of ease his way in, then maybe that's the time you need. Maybe you need his injuries just to be earlier in the season. I don't know.
But even when he's healthy, I will say this, and I've noticed it his whole career. It looked a little better this year. The tough centers that want to get tough with him, he backs down from. He consistently does that. There's some games he'll start to do it, but like he settles for the fadeaway. He settles for instead of just going hard. Now, right now, I think there's a reason for it, and there is a real injury. But we've seen the Marc Gasols, the Al Horfords, the I forget the guy on the Heat, just kind of bully him a little bit. And if that shot's not on, then it's a problem if he stands out there at the 3-point line. So we need to score in the paint. We need to score in the paint.
Yeah, and I heard something said on another channel the other day, and I was kind of really thinking about it, and it was like we always hear Embiid needs to be in the paint on the block, scoring down low, being physical. Well, is it safe to say that they should maybe just alter the way Embiid plays from regular season to the playoffs? Like, yeah, go out, be at the key, take your shots, mid-range, whatever you want. But when it comes to the playoffs, be more of a typical big, be down in the paint, be ready for the ball. And then it also takes, some stress off your legs. Why isn't he down there more? Like, this should be something Nick Nurse should have probably figured out. I mean, it is what we say every single year.
Or is it Embiid needs to be the one who says, all right, I need to change my game?
Of course he needs to say it too.
I think the problem is when he's facing these tougher centers, it's a battle to get on the block. So he did take the ball down low, but it's a little further off the block,
Right.
you know, more at the 15-foot line. So, you know, it's
and he
takes
pulls up.
effort. Takes effort. Well, he tried to drive it sometimes too, but or he gets doubled. And when he's doubled, he has to find the open man. It's not really working like it did in the regular season. I know the Heat, the way they defended him was hard to get him down there, especially the way they had their guys set up in that zone. But yeah, it's more towards what you're saying, Al. Like Nick Nurse too, though. You have to say, yo, dude, get on the block. But I don't know if they're kind of just like trying to get him through the games right now. I don't know. He's definitely not 100%, and that's definitely a factor. But it's kind of like he is still dropping almost 35 points at the way he is. So it's like him off the floor. It's not like you can be like, dude, get on the block or I'm taking you off the floor, because then we're definitely going to lose. So I think they're kind of working with him right now because Doc got him on the block. Doc was the one that made the emphasis on the block. Before, he never went on the block. So the one credit I give Doc is working on that, and Sam Cassell was a big part of that. So I agree. He has to get down there. He's never been a great rebounder. He's always been a good rebounder. Nothing great. So we'll see, man. I think we win game 3 though.
Do you finally see Paul Reed and him on the floor together, hanging out?
I think we have already a couple times.
We have, and I never want to see it again. I never want to see Paul Reed again.
Well, he's got like a year or 2 on his contract since that whole debacle.
No, I think it's year 1.
That is.
So that's what I'm saying. He's got another 2 years then, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a 3-year contract, so yeah.
And it's for like $7 million, and not going to be able to unload that somehow.
Well, that is kind of cheap for a backup center, but you could definitely get a veteran cheaper, like Drummond for say $4 million or $3. But yeah, but then Drummond would get pick and rolled in the playoffs anyway. I don't know if he didn't open his mouth. He does all right when he comes in there. He gives 10 minutes, does his hustle plays. I'm good with it, but any extended minutes,
he comes out thinking he's like some changed player because he wears a headband now. Like, dude, you're not in disguise. You're not fooling any of us.
Headband has nothing.
He's incognito over here.
The headband.
All right, so guys, let's change gears here a little bit. The big talk right now, of course, is tomorrow. The NFL draft starts.
That is right.
Ugly.
The NFL draft starts tomorrow. Round 1. We did our own little mock drafts. Just the first 4 rounds. Like Joe said, nobody cares about what we think afterwards. Can I just say that the mock draft generators or simulators or whatever the heck you want to call them, the ones with when you turn I turn trades off a lot because some of the trades are just outlandish. Yeah, like I've seen they offer me 9 picks for 1 pick. Like I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like I actually did one. I did one as a joke where I took every best trade available like they gave me, and I ended up with 47 picks. It was like some ridiculous number. I was like,
the Eagles have a total of 8 picks in this draft, and I don't even think they pick all 8. I'm not trading number 22 for an additional 10 picks.
Fred put it out in our chat. Hey guys, I want you all to do a draft. We're gonna do our own little drafts and go from there, and just our little mock drafts. And I did one, and I was just doing it kind of picking the best options to trade and at the end I didn't even notice by the time I got done doing it. I had 12 draft. I made 12 draft picks, and I'm like, and it said at the bottom I had 3 future new draft picks for next year from all the trades that were proposed to me. So it was funny, but let's get into it, guys. Who wants to go first on this one? Let me see what we got here.
Well, let's credit Joe first for cutting it down to 4 rounds because I was like, I agree with them. Some of this, definitely the Eagles aren't making all these picks, and these are flash shots in the dark anyhow when you get that late in the draft. So good call, slowing it down, eliminating the four rounds. I mean, good call. Great call.
The fifth round itself is 3 picks. And they're probably not going to make all 3 there. And I'll be honest with you, anybody who's watching it now, if they're not as big as dork as we are, doing 19 mock drafts in the past 3 hours, they're not going to know who these guys are. Like we dive deep into this. They watch this information. They watch us for that information. They're not doing it themselves. So they're not
Yeah.
going to know about Joe Schmo in the 6th round as we're sitting here discussing it, the 3 different picks in the 6th round.
Yep. And speaking of, guys, if you're just joining us, don't forget tomorrow live draft coverage does start here at Edge of Philly Sports with Shane, Ryan, Dave, Mark, and Dibes. And then also we'll be doing night 2 as well. And day 3 we don't do live, but stay tuned to our social media and our website for all the posts about the new draftees and give you some bios on them and all that stuff. So stay tuned for all your draft coverage right here at Edge of Philly Sports. So let's start with this one here. All right, Fred, that's yours. You want to take this?
I'm shocked that they're not all cornerbacks. Let me start with that.
Joe's not been liking the Twitter cornerbacks and the Facebook cornerback people. But this isn't Howie Roseman's mock draft. This is Fred's mock draft. And if I'm a Philadelphia Eagles general manager, oh boy, we are going back to the days of Joe Banner when the Eagles had Troy Vincent and Bobby Taylor. And I'm going to compare that to having who I think will have okay, good years this year. I don't think Bradbury's trash. I don't think Slay's trash either, but I think there are veterans on the way down. And I would like the Eagles to draft back-to-back cornerbacks just like then to learn behind those guys. And my first pick in the first round, and he might be here. You might be able to trade back a bit to get this guy, but I'm going with Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. 6'2", 21, 185 pounds, athletic, has that 6'2" frame, competes, fluid hips. Not many picks, though. People would say, I think he only has 1 or 2 interceptions, but his incompletion percentage is up there, 65%, something like that. So he makes plays on the ball. He can play both man and zone. So being both of those, I think fits well with Vic Fangio and the way he wants to go. Follow that in the second round. I'm going with local boy from Norristown, Pennsylvania, out of Iowa State, TJ Tampa, another 6'2" guy. I just need bigger corners right now. These guys are athletic too, but 6'2", he ranked 98th percentile in passes thrown his way in college, as far as incompletion or defense passes defended thrown his way in college. He's excellent in zone, good in man. Only knock on this guy, 10 missed tackles last year. That's a little might be a problem. But TJ Tampa back-to-back corners there. Moving on to the this would not the third round. I guess this is their second pick in the second round. Chris Braswell, edge rusher. I definitely think we need to get younger at the edge, especially, moving on from Hassan Reddick. Give me Braswell, 6'3", 255-pound senior, 42 tackles, 8 sacks, 10.5 tackles for a loss, 3 forced fumbles, and also a pick 6. He ran a 4.6 40, did great in the Senior Bowl. Alabama kid. High IQ, is good run to defender. What I do like about him is he can cover in the flat. So, there were times when we'd move Hassan Reddick into coverage, and it was not a good move. Where this guy, not that he's going to be an all-pro cover guy, but he can handle that flat and some underneath zones. So, and that's obviously bring us that pass rush we need. And last but not least, nostalgia, baby. The fourth-round pick, and a lot of people aren't high on this guy. They're comparing him to his size, this, that, and the other. But I would love to see Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in an Eagles uniform, making plays, doing the acts like his dad. He's great in coverage. He has the high IQ. A lot of comparisons to Nakobe Dean with the size, but I'm thinking injury-wise might not be there. I don't know that you can play these two together, so you may see how he pans out, and it might be on the way out for Nakobe Dean, but this guy has started since being a sophomore. I'm going with Jeremiah Trotter there, and that is my 4-round mock. I think Howie will make 3 big slashes in tomorrow's draft, 1 corner, a safety, and an offensive lineman. All good with that. I would love a safety as well. Offensive lineman, I was really about trying to get – well, I'll let you guys go because you might have an offensive lineman in the first. So, first,
I don't have
Knox. I got to get some critiques, especially from Joe here. Rip, it's all good. Rip
no,
in. All good. Rip in.
no, I'm not gonna rip it. This is much better than the one that you put out last night on Twitter, which was cornerback, safety, cornerback.
That was fun. That was fun.
So
I couldn't pass up on the Florida State guy. I couldn't.
I get it.
I couldn't.
I get it. But I see that there has been growth in the past 18 hours or so. So I applaud you on that.
Well, I will say I'm late to this party. I just started getting into it, and I was going to say when you said it, I wouldn't have any clue who these 6th or 7th rounders are either. So I'm glad that you cut it down to 4.
2 quick questions. Number one, one's a comment, one's a question. I just don't see Howie not doing any offensive players in the first 4 rounds. I just don't. I understand this is Fred's, but I just don't see that happening. And number 2, if Jeremiah Trotter Jr. was not related to him and did not have the same name, would you be as high on Jeremiah Trotter Jr.?
Nostalgia is definitely a factor. I can't say that I'm not, but the games I did watch, my brother's a Clemson's fan. It was electric when he would go in there and make tackles for loss. He's a good run stopper and he can cover. It's just the size is an issue. So that late, considering how bad our linebackers are, you could probably draft any linebacker and improve at that point. So I would definitely take a stab at him. But you're right, the nostalgia. If the nostalgia wasn't there, I might not go that route. I may have drafted an edger and Cooper maybe earlier, or maybe I just don't draft the linebacker at all.
Yeah, and I'll go real quick. I'll go backwards with yours from 4 to 1. Jeremiah Trotter, if you get him at 120, it's an absolute steal. This guy is projected to be in the 2nd round. If you get him in the 4th round, I absolutely love that pick. Chris Boswell, listen, he's an edge rusher. He's from an SEC school. We know Howie is, leaning towards those teams right now. And getting him at 53 is a very good value pick. And he's defensive line. I mean, in the trenches is where Howie loves to go. TJ Tampa, Norristown kid, I actually didn't know that, so you just schooled me on that. I love that. And I'll lump him in with the Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins, if they get him at 22, I wouldn't be shocked. Would I be okay with it? Sure. But my problem with one or even multiple cornerbacks is where are they going? And I understand Nate Wiggins, he would be the hopeful shutdown of the future. But it's also like, okay, if it just say they ended up playing them or what, like who Slay will be here, Bradbury will probably be a post June 1st cut, but then what about Keely Ringo, who they traded a 3rd round pick for in this year's draft? Like, I don't see them giving up that high draft compensation last year if they're just going to draft somebody who is going to leapfrog him into his starting role if James Bradbury isn't here.
Great points. I'm going to say this. Eli Ricks is gone. Zach McPherson's gone. All these undrafted guys that I don't really think are much are gone. Keely Ringo will be given an opportunity, but I think there's something to say for how bad they were and him not getting on the field till the end. I know you take time sometimes with these corners, but typically cornerbacks get in the league and they're good. And you see them good. I was not high on Ringo at Georgia, and I'm still not high on him. I don't know. But you're right. They're not just going to cut him. They're going to give an opportunity. I just think all the other guys will be gone. You would have then Avonte Maddox, Isaiah Rodgers, Bradbury. Yeah. What's that, 5? So then Ringo would have to get cut. You're right.
I just don't see it happening.
Our boy Phil saying, "Bring me Surtain." He's been saying that a lot on the show. That
of course, but again,
would you be okay if they took 22 and flipped it for Surtain, and maybe one of our guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
it's 22.
Probably one of our 22 and one of our guys. Like probably going to be one of the many guys that we have to
Ringo 22 and
Ringo. Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
100%.
I mean, I wouldn't be against it. No, not at all. All right, let's see.
Hold on. The only
and Bradbury.
The only problem that comes with that is Surtain is going to want a new contract. So the Eagles are going to have to put out all this money in all these years for him, which I am completely for. But then again, you're kind of putting a Band-Aid over it.
But how old is he? He's pretty young. He's like 25.
He's like 25, 26. Yeah.
So I'm okay with that because one thing Howie can do is he'll know how to spread that out. They'll be
It's
able to
true.
spread
Yeah,
that out.
that's very true.
And they'll probably give him some big signing bonuses in the beginning. So over the next couple of years, it's not a big hit. So you're not worrying about the Jalen Hurts contract and other bigger other bigger contracts hitting it. That I worry the least about. If you can get a guy like him here and listen, we have, you pointed out the fact we have the guys that we can give up in the process to help fill the need. Plus, they get number 22 overall, and Denver's in a big need of fulfilling and building from scratch for the most part. It makes a lot of sense for them.
Yeah, and just to one more bullet point on that is we didn't see the AJ Brown at 18 trade happening, and then literally they already had the contract in place for him when the trade was announced. So if it's 22 and 13, they'll probably have that contract ready to go for him for the next 4 years or so. But then you also have to look at the Bradbury post cut. It's going to be 10 to 12 million in dead money. So I don't even know if they want to go that route again.
Yeah, well, if I remember correctly, because I was producing that draft, and you were on the air, Joe, and I believe you called me a liar. I was hosting,
yeah.
I believe you called me a liar when I first put it up there.
Yeah. I had Kyle Quinn sitting next to me, and we're like, "What is happening? Like, this can't be real."
He thought you and me had like this banter thing going back. we made it up. It was funny, but all right, they're not marked, so I'm just looking up here. So this one I think this is mine. All right, so I'll go next. There you go. So I picked all the ones where I have hard to say. So you got Leatu Latu, edge rusher, UCLA. This is a name that has been brought up numerous times. He's been comped to TJ Watt, a couple different people. I take comps with a grain of salt. But, he's got everything you want in an edge rusher. He's twitchy. He's got the hands. He's instinctive. He's got the football IQ. He can even drop back into short coverage, which would probably work in the Vic Fangio's scheme. I know he had the neck injury. That's one of the reasons I think he might have a chance of falling back to 22. Especially here's my thing. People think it's a little crazy that he'll be at 22, and they might have to jump up to like 20 or 19 or 18 to get him. But honestly, between the neck injury and depending on how many quarterbacks go ahead, it wouldn't be the craziest thing if he fell to if he was at 22 available. I know his size is considered average, and he's a little less effective against the run, but overall, he would be a huge upgrade in an area now we're either aging in or lacking in with the loss of like Hassan Reddick. So I don't think anybody's going to argue on having Latu join the Eagles at 22. Number 50, I go O-line. Because here's my thing is I wouldn't be surprised if they went O-line at 22. But at 50, if Kingsley, and I'm going to try my best on this, Suamata'iu is available. He is a big boy, 6'4", 320 pounds. He's got quickness and athleticism for his size. Little slow on the recovery. But other than that, like that's really the biggest against him. And he's a guy that can mold and work behind and has a little depth to the offensive line that we don't have right now. So, and he gets a chance to work with Lane Johnson and the other O-lineman and Jeff Stoutland, of course. So that I think could be a big addition and kind of take care of a possible need for the future. Number 3, this was a gimme. I know Fred, you brought him up. He was available when I did it. Edrin Cooper, linebacker. I mean, he's a kind of guy who can spy the athletic QB, which hurt us a lot when you play guys like Patrick Mahomes. But he's smart. He can play through traffic. He's a little, he's got some. He's going to be in the 3rd round because he's going to have some molding to do. Working on picking up blocks and shedding blocks is one of his kind of slaps against him, but that's something I think he could learn. It's not something that's going to hold him back for the rest of his career. At least I don't think so. And I had to go Penn State somewhere for Joe. Theo Johnson is just an athletic, big monster type of guy. A tight end, 6'6", 259 pounds. Another big body that will help Jalen Hurts, in my eyes, be another weapon that he can go up and contest the catches. He's got a little Zach issues because he's got yak issues. He's not much for after the catch, but other than that, pretty good at just being a big body to block in front of people. But in the 4th round, at 120, I think it's a good pick. Guys, go ahead, tear me apart.
I'll go. Well, you want to go, Joe?
No, go ahead.
I'm not there. I love if that guy I can't even pronounce it. Latu is there.
Latu.
Latu. If he's there at 22, or even if you trade up to get him, I would love that move. I know, like you said, the injury is a concern, but this guy's an animal, like a total beast off the edge. I most places rate him, the top, edge rusher. Or at least the top 3. So I would definitely go with him. The offensive tackle, I'm not too sure on that guy. I don't know much about Kingsley, but I don't know. I used to be high on the O-line thing, but now I'm thinking with Stoutland, we can just draft these guys in the 5th through 7th round, and he'll just get them up to speed.
Well, it's like Landon Dickerson in this situation with me. A guy that you'll take in the 2nd round, he probably end up playing for you, maybe not this year as much as next year. And, he doesn't even have half the injury history as a Landon Dickerson. And you know me, I'm part and partial to the offensive lineman.
Definitely. Edgerrin Cooper, dude, love it. Love that pick. They would have actually invested in a linebacker. He should have a good career and be all over the place as a linebacker. I love the Edgerrin Cooper one. Theo Johnson, I think he's more of like a old school running offense type guy. Like he's a big guy, good pass blocker, more like those big double tight end set type offenses. But, with the signing of CJ Uzamoa, I don't know if they'll spend a 4th rounder on him, but, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, that's my problem with Theo Johnson is they already have added capital with Albert O. They re-signed him for another year, and that was CJ. And then, of course, obviously the starting Dallas Goedert. I don't see them carrying four tight ends, especially drafting. And even if Theo would land on the practice squad, they're not going to practice squad a 4th rounder. Howie is notorious for stacking up the undrafted free agents and building the practice squad really off of that, and that's another area where he shines. 53, Edgerrin Cooper. I'm going to skip that one for now, and you'll find out sooner than later. Kingsley. The only reason I don't see that is because I think if they wait for the 2nd round to draft an offensive lineman, I think they go guard. I think there's a lot of good solid guards that will be day 1 plug and plays. I think if they go offense. Yeah.
I mean, BB would be. I can see BB being available at 50. You're absolutely right. I just, in my eyes, the reason I'm going tackles, 2 reasons. Lane Johnson, we know a couple of years, the year or 2, he's going to be gone or done with his contract. And he's pretty much said he's not going to re-up it, which could change. But my other thing is he's played a little at guard, and he's a big guy. But I can see them still keeping working with Tyler Steen or something. So, but no, you make good points.
Yeah, and then Latu, if he's there at 22 and they draft him, I'm in the corner somewhere filling the cup because it would be an absolute phenomenal pick. I mean, adding him with Huff and Sweat and even, Nolan Smith, depending where they line him up, and BG, I mean, it would be an absolute steal of a first-round pick.
All right. Well, then that leads
before you go there, just quickly, breaking news. Down go the Boston Celtics. The Miami Heat. No.
They're 1-1 now, I think, because they beat them pretty handily. Yeah.
At home.
That's right. They started later.
Miami took home court without Jimmy Butler.
Oh, wow. Yeah, all right. That's a little bit more breaking than my Jason Kelce news. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Quentin, for checking in there with the final there. Appreciate it.
Yep. And guys, remind you that this portion and Joe's 4-round mock draft is brought to you by David R. Cherry at cherryinjurylaw.com. Workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law, Sixers losses, you name it, he will fight for your rights against them. Go to cherryinjurylaw.com, 610-565-0300. Again, workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law. These are all life-changing, life-altering moments. So go check it out. David R. Cherry, 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. And don't forget also, if you need tickets for the big game, Sixers are going to be coming back into town. The Phillies are going to be coming back into town next week. Sports concert season is upon us as well. Joe knows that better than anybody. Go to sherrystickets.com, family owned and operated since 1946. Use that great promo code EoP10 to save 10% off at sherrystickets.com. And like I said, the price you see on the screen will be the price you pay. You're not going to get bamboozled at checkout. Again, and use that promo code to get 10% off. EoP10. Again, EoP10 will save you 10% off at sherrystickets.com. All right, Joe, you ready? The people are waiting. They want to know.
Last but certainly not least, Al.
All right, here we go.
Oh, look at that. Look at those four. And look at that grading.
I'll just start Joe right now. He might be touching himself.
Nah, I'm in that corner filling it.
Yeah,
All right, let's start with pick number 22.
Nice knowing you guys.
Now, I want to say with a disclaimer, it was last night that I found out that Lane Johnson was under contract till 2028. If you would have asked me, I would have sworn up and down that 2026 was it for him, that was kind of what he was alluding to. I don't know if they put in.
Is it 2028 or was it ghost years on his contract?
No, he's not technically an unrestricted free agent till like 2031.
Oh wow.
So he has like legit like $12 million like cap hits in 2026 and 2027, and then and this is of course according to Spot Track. That's the number one source I go to for this type of stuff. But it isn't until 2028 where it looks like there's any dummy years.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know this until last night. However, I am still going with this mindset, and apparently a lot of people are also, because people are talking themselves into the fact that Howie may go offensive line first round, and for that I'm going with C.J. Latham out of Alabama. This dude is a monster of a man, 6'6", 359. There is questions of can he move inside for a couple years and play guard. I think one of the hiccups is his size. 6'6" is pretty big for a right or left tackle. In this case, right or left guard. In this case, it's right guard. But if my mind is correct, Brandon Brooks was a pretty big dude as well. So I think C.J. Latham, of course, in Statland U will be absolutely fine. And, of course, whether it's 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is, he's learning under Lane Johnson to, eventually slide further out to the right and be the heir apparent to the greatest right tackle in the game. And I only see them going offensive tackle in.
Did we lose him? You there, Joe? Well, to answer his question, Fred, I know you're there. We'll bring it back up when he kind of connects back here.
Years.
Oh, there he is. Joe, sorry, we lost you for a second there. You're frozen.
Oh, okay.
But to answer your question, Brandon Brooks was 6'5", 335 pounds.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So there we go. Kamari Lassiter, Fred, I'm sure you know about this guy as
Georgia.
well. Yeah, absolutely. Out of Georgia. Now, I know this is going away from what I was saying with the corner Bills drafting them high.
We're losing you again there, pal.
Behind them, I think it is a best player available type of pick, and I don't think that it kind of takes Ringo out of the possibility of one day being a starter. And again, I like Lassiter at this pick. And of course, Al, this is why I skipped your number 53, because I as well have Edwin Cooper. Everything that you said about his development and pushing and all that, throw all that crap out the window. This guy is ready to go. He's a big guy, and of course, this means that they're investing in the linebacker position. He's 6'3", 230, first team All SEC. I think this guy is going to work wonders. I mean, of course, they got Devin White, who they signed. Of course, they had Nakobe Dean, and I know I brought up Nolan Smith possibly coming off the edge, but in a Vic Fangio defense, who knows? He could be playing back in a 3-4. So I mean, they're just trying to solidify all these positions. Edwin Cooper at 53, I think, is an absolute steal of a pick. And here I'm going opposite of Latu, and I'm going his counter partner, Gabriel Murphy, who had 38 tackles, 16 for loss, 8 sacks, 2 pass breakups. Sure, could he have gotten those numbers because of Latu getting double teamed? But hey, when you look at the Eagles and the other edge rushers and who's going to be getting doubled, that's going to open up Murphy even more to get to the quarterback. That's my top 4 of this draft.
Fred, you want to go?
Sure, I'll start with Latham. Dream offensive tackle right there. JC Latham, I mean, like if he's there, it's very tough not to pick him. And he did have 135 snaps in 2021 at right guard. So to your point of moving him inside, I don't know if they moved him outside for a reason or why, but he does have some experience there. Kamari Lassiter, I do like him a lot. He does lack the speed as Rudy Poo is checking in here, but he's very smart, fundamentally sound, and makes plays. He just seemed to always make plays for Georgia. I love that pick. Edrin Cooper, yeah, man. I mean, the athleticism that he brings to the linebacker position, he'll be all over the place. That would just be a great pick to finally have that here. In Philly, top-tier linebacker right there, I think. And then Gabriel Murphy, I'm not 100% on. I don't know a ton about him. The limited stuff I read about him is he doesn't have the physical gifts, but he projects as an outside linebacker / rusher. And, if he's versatile like that, I think it's a fit for Vic Fangio. So overall, I think this is an A here. So good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, the one thing is the Edrin Cooper, dude. That's the dumbest pick. You're gonna really pick that right there at 53, Joe. You're out of your mind. No, great minds think alike on that one. But yeah, I really, like I said, I would of course agree with the JC Latham pick. I don't see it happening in picking offensive tackle at 22. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. I really think if they're going to stick, they're going to do they're going to either go edge if one of the edges are available, or even DT. But I'd be super happy with that pick at number 22. Lassiter, a good cornerback, show up the room. Not going to complain. Edrin Cooper made the joke. Yeah, we'll all be happy with that. Like Fred said, I know little about Murphy. But at 4, what you're looking for is a guy in versatility. That's the favorite word you can use around Howie and during the draft. So if he's got the versatility in the 4th round, that's not a bad idea. All right. Dead silence. I think the Phillies are going into the 9th right now for those who are chiming in or who are just tuning in with us. And thank you. The numbers keep growing. They're not going backwards. So that's good to see. And speaking of Phillies baseball, guys, if you want to come out and hang out with some former Phillies, you can come out May 25th at Dolan's Bar for Wiffle Ball Mania, Dolan's Spring Classic. That's right. Mickey Morandini makes his return and brings, that's right, John Kruk with him. Former first baseman and Phillies color analyst on the TV there. So you can come hang out with John Kruk, Mickey Morandini on May 25th at 24 East Sellers Avenue in Ridley Park. Play some wiffle ball with your heroes of the past. Talk Phillies with them. Just hang out with them. And just rule, just so you know, Mickey takes it seriously, so don't mess with him.
He sure does.
He sure does. He don't like to lose. So, yeah, Phillies are
a ton of crap.
Yeah, so the Phillies are going into the 9th right now. Let's see who's at. Trey Turner's at bat right now. Down 7-4. Our bullpen has been sucking tonight. Not that what's his face? Turnbull had the greatest start, but on top of it, it hasn't been much better since then. So Trey Turner just skied out. So now only 2 outs left in the game. And after we're done, the Fighting's final will be coming on. I believe Mike Laro is on the call tonight. So let's talk a little Phillies real quick, guys. I mean, up until the last couple games, last night was a
We're not doing the top 10?
Top 10. Oh, I forgot we were going to do that. Oh, yeah. Let me pull that up. We were going to do that live, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, hold on. Keep going. Give me 1 second to pull that up.
Yeah, that's no problem. I mean, we can roll right through it real quick. I mean, do you guys want to do it? Start at 10 and go to 1, or go to 1 and go to 10? Actually, let's start at 1 because it's pretty obvious.
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to do it on here. I'm going to bring it up on here for you.
Okay.
Go ahead, keep talking. Give you 1 second to pull up the mock draft simulator here.
Fred, are you just not moving? Or are you frozen?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, you know what sucks is like I put up that post yesterday about Dombrowski, like how we like owe him like a show of gratitude for the pitching and not overpaying.
Mush.
And now, yeah, of course, it figures as soon as I post that, it all goes to crap. Now, what also sucks is we're looking at Sanchez last night and Turnbull both have not that great of outings, and now everyone's talking, oh, well, Taijuan Walker, he gets to start on Sunday. I don't care if the guy's making $50 million a season. I don't want Taijuan Walker pitching for the Phillies in place of Sanchez or Turnbull. But if it has to be one of them, I think Sanchez goes to the bullpen, and then Walker either takes 4 or 5. I don't know, but I do not want Spencer Turnbull out of that lineup.
I think it has to be Sanchez too. I agree.
Maybe he has more experience coming out of the pen as well.
All right, here we go. I'll try to make it a little bigger too for you guys. All right, so I got all. It's going to go through the whole first round, but we'll just do the 10. We don't have to go through all 32. But it's already started. Chicago's on the board. Consensus: who's Chicago going with, guys?
I think we all know who they're going with, and it's.
I think I can click Caleb Williams and move on.
Yeah. Should we talk about how much of a bust he's going to be?
Go for it.
That dude is such a diva. I can't believe he's like trying to take like stock points away from organizations to be the number 1 pick. Like, dude, like I wouldn't be surprised. What I was hoping was that Chicago is going to be like, you know what, F you. If you're still available at 9, we're going to get you. I think Washington, them trying to trade up to number 1 spot to get him, just shows what a trash organization that they are. They would have, blew it. But hey, Caleb Williams is going to be the consensus number 1. I don't see it. I don't like it. The guy sucks. He's whatever.
I don't think he sucks at all. I think he's pretty awesome. But I think he also is a diva. I agree that he's a diva. He rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if I would want him to be the leader of my franchise with the way some of his interviews at USC. But we all are in agreement he will be the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, brings us to number 2, Washington, round 1, pick 2. What position do you guys think they go with? Let's just start with that.
I think
they have quarterback.
Yeah, they have to go quarterback. They have no future there. Drake May, I think, is the pick. A lot of people compare him to Jaden Daniels, and Jaden Daniels had 3 more years at college than Drake May. So I think Drake's the pick here, and Washington will go with another North Carolina Tar Heel.
I actually think it's going to be Jaden Daniels because it should be Drake May, and Washington is a trash organization, and they're going to make the wrong pick and go with Jaden Daniels.
Tiebreaker.
That's not a bad thought process. I'm actually
do it.
I'm going to agree with Joe. They will make the wrong move consistently and always. So I'm going to put it in the draft. Jaden Daniels, number 2 overall pick, going to Washington. That brings us to New England. Also, needs a quarterback. I'm going to go with Drake May. If he's available, they take him in a heartbeat.
No doubt. New England, no doubt.
Yeah, that's where I got Drake May going as well, because the Patriots know what they're doing. They didn't hit on Mac Jones, who I actually really like coming out of that draft, so I would have been wrong as well. But Drake May is the pick here for New England.
All right. Let's see. All right, so the next one is Arizona. I think we all know who they're going to pick, but they also are a dumb organization that makes dumb moves. Joe, do they go with Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah, I don't see any way that they don't. I mean, we can talk about Jonathan Gannon being a bonehead all we want, but I don't think he's that big of a bonehead. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. all day.
Fred?
Yeah, I mean that's a lock. There's no way that they don't make that move.
All right, brings us to number 5. That is your LA Chargers. All new regime there now. Where do they go, Joe? Where do they go?
They go to protect the most important player on their team in Justin Herbert, and they have to go left tackle Joe Alt. I mean, if they don't do that, then you're setting your team back even further. The smartest move, not the sexiest move, the smartest move is Joe Alt.
I think it's kind of damn sexy too. I mean, I guess because I'm an lineman too, Al. But that's
all
got to be the
linemen are
play.
sexy. Come on, man.
Outside, and this would be crazy. Now, this probably will not happen. This definitely will not happen. But I've had the crazy thought that Jim Harbaugh trades Justin Herbert for a slew of picks and then goes and drafts J.J. McCarthy, who he's been on record of saying as the best, in his opinion, the best quarterback in the draft. So that would be stunning. And you could probably just grab the Giants pick and then go take Joe Alt right after. And then,
you probably could.
You know what I mean? There are options if they did that, but I agree the pick's going to be Joe Alt. You gotta protect your quarterback, and he's the best in the draft.
And just kind of to think devil's advocate here real quick is you lose Keenan Allen, you lose Mike Williams, you lose Austin Eckler. I mean, if they want to go out and get a Malik Neighbors, a number one overall wide receiver to, give a weapon to Justin Herbert, like you can't knock that as well. But again, keeping your quarterback upright is the most important.
Yeah, and I know there's been a lot of rumors that Justin Herbert being traded to the Minnesota Vikings because I pretty much call Justin Herbert the new Kirk Cousins anyway, so that would make total sense in my eyes. But all right, so that brings us to the New York Giants. You guys just mentioned wide receivers right now. What's considered the top need for this team? I think that's BS. They still have a porous O line and not a great defensive line. And I don't care if it's who the quarterback is, Daniel Jones or not. You're gonna get screwed over. So, but they're still gonna probably pick a wide receiver. I think it's gonna be Malik Neighbors. Joe, Fred, what do you got for me?
I think they select J.J. McCarthy here. I think.
Wow.
I don't know if they trade back and do it. They're not scared to take quarterbacks wildly early. And I really think that they realize that they need a quarterback. They also need, I think Dallas Turner's an option as well. They could go wide receiver, but how am I forgetting the name of their quarterback right now?
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah. I don't understand how they can look at Daniel Jones and think there's promise there. And I think drafting a quarterback will also extend the lifetime of the head coach, who's a quarterback whisperer. And now, it resets his time there as well. So I think they go quarterback, and I won't be surprised at all.
You think J.J. McCarthy? Is that who you said, Fred? J.J.?
Yeah, but don't get Jones.
No,
it's probably unlikely. But I just have a feeling I don't know if it'll be McCarthy. I just think they go quarterback definitely, and that's the highest ranked one you got on that board there.
Yeah, no, Al, I'm going with you. Wide receiver Malik Neighbors. They lose out on Saquon. Darren Waller is always injured. Again, trash organization, always making the wrong decision. So of course they're going to go wide receiver. Fred, to your quarterback controversy that you're building here, Daniel Jones, I believe, was just given like a 4-year extension. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. And if they draft a quarterback here, I don't even know if he's tradable with that size contract.
Oh, God, no.
Carson Wentz was gone the year later after Jalen Hurts was drafted. So
yeah, but at least Carson Wentz had a chance where he looked like he could be a good quarterback. I've never seen that from Daniel Jones.
I don't think Carson Wentz was making like $43 million a year either.
Well, he had just got signed to that long-term extension, and at the time, that was a very high amount. That was the max amount
true.
at the time.
I see what you're saying. Contracts are getting bigger and bigger. It may not be as much on paper as we're thinking it is.
The cap's going up too.
So, but we're consensus saying Malik Neighbors, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that brings us to number 7. The Tennessee Titans. They're saying offensive tackle. Of course, we know that Andre Dillard is no longer with them anymore. Offensive tackle,
What a loss.
Offensive tackle, edge, and cornerback are their three top needs accordingly. Where do you think they go, guys?
I think that they make a mistake and go wide receiver as well. I mean, they're scrambling at this point. You know, Trey Burke isn't really panning out, and they got to give Will Levis something to throw to. And I think Rome and Duze, I think that's probably the best pick for them right there.
I think they'll go Rome Duze as well. I agree with that. But I do think they need to I don't think Will Levis is the answer either. So they really have to strongly consider quarterback. So I think quarterback's a possibility for them as well. But they've been struggling to find the replacement to A.J. Brown since they traded him to us, which was so bad of a trade. So I'm sure they're trying to figure that out because then maybe, like to your point, Will Levis, you get a better look at him that he has some weapons to throw.
All right, Roma Duze and Dunze it is. That brings us to number 8, the Atlanta Falcons. I think they need a quarterback.
Of course you do. The biggest Kirk Cousins hater ever.
He sucks. And the best part is they might lose a draft pick over it because they were tampering over the whole situation.
Yeah, they gave the guy $180 million, and they're going to draft a quarterback at pick number 8.
No, but I could see them doing something crazy like getting Brock Bowers. And that's who I'm going to say.
All right, well, I'm going to jump right in here and say you're insane because they just drafted Kyle Pitts 2 seasons ago.
It's crazy enough for them to do it. That's why I'm saying it's not smart.
Them going offense again for the 4th year in a row. They went Drake London, they went Kyle Pitts, and then they went Bijan Robinson. They just signed Kirk Cousins. If they don't go defense, if I'm an Atlanta fan, I'm looking for the nearest bridge. And if they don't take Dallas Turner, I'd be turning in my fan card because the team had no idea what the hell they're doing. There's no way they're going offense again. They're definitely going defense. And at this point, the best player on the board is Dallas Turner.
Listen, I agree with you. He's the guy that they should take. I just see them doing something stupid. Go ahead, Fred.
Dallas Turner very well could be the pick. I think they will go defense. I agree with you. I could see Latu going just as high up here too. It could be Turner. I know that board. There's different boards. I could see them definitely going edge rusher or corner. For the sake of just breaking the top, I guess going one of your 2 picks, I'll go Dallas Turner here. But I could very well see them go corner with Arnold. That's a pick. And like I said, Letu. Who's the other, the top other guy? Newton, the defensive tackle from Illinois.
Jared Verse.
Yeah. Verse. What's that? He's the Florida State guy, right? Yep.
Yeah.
So, I can see Byron Murphy. I can see any defender here, but let's go with Dallas Turner.
Number 9, Chicago Bears are back on the board. They got Caleb Williams, whatever your name. Where do they go next, boys?
I'm going to go here. I think it's Brock Bowers' time. They're going to build this offense. And what better to have a tight end that you can move out in the slot as well. Powerful, explosive guy. Borderline wide receiver at times. Could be as good as, I dare I say it, Gronkowski down the line, or Travis Kelce. So Brock Bowers is the pick there for them.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate it for them if I was a fan, but I think they got to go defense here because again, if you look at their offense, they just signed DeAndre Swift. They got Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. Of course, they have another number 1 guy here in Caleb Williams. I think they go for another 1 guy on the defensive side of the ball, and it's going to be Terrion Arnold, the number 1 corner out of the game.
Joe, I agree with you up until the cornerback position. I thought it was going to be – this is where I thought Latu may go. If he was going to go early, I thought it would be the Bears. But we got to have a tiebreaker here somewhere, boys. What do we think is most reasonable? Go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna say I could agree with on the defensive end of it. So I could see them going defense. So I'll go Latu. Then I can switch to that. Who did you pick, Joe?
Terry and Arnold.
Carry on Arnold.
Ah, that's tough too.
That's a tough. I mean, listen, Joe. If you listen, we'll go with Terry and Arnold just because
Yeah.
I can see it going either way. I just looking at their needs, I guess Edge is a little bit higher up on their needs than CB, but that doesn't mean they don't need somebody like that. So I don't see it being a bad call. So I'll pick Terry on Arnold. We're all consensus with that.
Cool.
Sure.
All right, number 10, New York Jets.
I'll start with this one because the name was already said by both of you. Actually, I'm going Brock Bowers here. Like you guys have already made my argument for me. I think that the Jets having Aaron Rodgers come back, they want to get him another monster weapon in what could be his only season there. So I think Brock Bowers will be, such a huge target for Aaron Rodgers. And like you guys said, tight end, blocking, lining up in the slot, doesn't matter where you put this guy. He is phenomenal. So, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going to, fill the cup, I guess we can say again for this pick.
Well, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to force them to take this pick, Joe. I think it's a very good call. I mean, it's one of their top needs, and he's one of the, he could be a bona fide superstar.
Yeah.
Fred?
Muffler Mike checking in. Did we bring this one up yet? Because you guys were talking about Cousins.
I put it up, but I didn't
my
really
fault.
mention
Missed
it.
that.
Yeah.
The guy loves defense, but yeah, I mean Brock Bowers is still on the board. They have to get some offense here. Brock Bowers.
All right, and that will round out your top 10. Unless you want to keep going.
I went 10 for 10.
I know. Thanks to the Joe Sheeran top 10 mock draft tonight.
Yeah. All right, you guys want to keep going, or are we done?
Nah, we're done. We're done with top 10.
All right, there you go. Let's bring it back around town here. All right, guys, real quick, let's hit on some Phillies talk. I know Fred has to head out. Fred, thanks for joining us tonight. Joe, we got to round out a little Phillies talk. Outside of the last couple of days, this team has been real hot. Bryce is on maternity leave for right now.
He wasn't contributing that much when he was here, but
yeah, I'm not blaming him at all for any of the them not competing. Like, Trey Turner has played a lot better than people expect him to start off with. The starting pitching staff has been really good up until Christopher Sanchez last night. Of course, Spencer didn't have a great night either. But the bullpen was just nobody was good tonight in pitching. Something to be worried about, or is it just another hiccup in the road? I mean, they're still playing. They still have a better record in April than they've had in a very long time.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. In fact, I would trade 7 wins in a row for 2 losses in a row any time of the season. As Christopher Sanchez and Spencer Turnbull, we could see them coming back down to earth a little bit. I mean, Spencer Turnbull really hasn't pitched since 2000 or 2001. He's been out with, Tommy John and stuff like that. And Christopher Sanchez, I mean, this guy was the number 5 last year. He started the season as a number 4. And even though he shows signs or flashes of greatness, he does have a clunker every 4th or 5th start. So I think out of your 4th or 5th starting guys, you're going to get games like this. But I don't think it's anything to really worry about, because I do think they're good pitchers. And I think that a majority of the time when they're playing, they're going to be going up against 4th and 5th rotation guys for the other team as well. Yeah. So as long as the Phillies, like, these guys are going to have an ERA in the 3, 4, and 5s. I mean, I don't think I'm splitting hairs here. So as long as the Phillies can come out and support, the runs and everything, I think you're going to be just fine. Like, they're going to get their games won, and they'll have a clunker every once in a while. But it's fine. It's fine. This month has been very well so far.
I 100% agree. And if your starting pitcher in your 4th, 5th spot can get you 3 or less runs, that is a huge plus. That's a huge plus. I just want to break some up. I'm looking at the box score for tonight for the Phillies, right, Joe? Just real quick, bear with me for a second. Schwarber was 1 for 4 with a walk. Turner was 1 for 4 with Schwarber scored a run as well. Turner was 1 for 4, scored 2 runs, was hit by a pitch. Bohm was 4 for 4 tonight with a double, 2 RBIs and a walk. He's been he comes to the bat like when people walk to get to him from Harper to him. I still haven't understood that yet.
I know.
Merrifield was 2 for 4. He had a good night, first night in a while he's had with us. He had a double, a run, and an RBI. Sosa was 2 for 4 with a double and 2 strikeouts. Pache was 0 for 2 with a walk and 2 strikeouts. Rojas was 1 for 4 with an RBI and a strikeout. Stubbs was 0 for 4 and a strikeout. He don't play a lot, so I don't count him. But the one that sticks out to me, the one I did not mention yet, is Nick Castellanos, now 0 for 5 tonight with a K. Do we worry about him?
I was, and I know I'm on the record saying that he stinks, and I still believe that and still say it. He had a good series against bad teams. A lot of people have been saying, well, let's see what the Phillies do when they're playing some, above average teams. And I, tend to agree with that. Unfortunately, the Reds have been above average. They beat us in the second series of the season already, and they've dropped 2 of 3, and with 1 more to go tomorrow. Nick Castellanos, am I worried about him? I think I'm always going to be worried about him. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like he goes on these stretches against bad teams, good teams, doesn't matter. He goes on these stretches of being hot and cold. So again, you just have to kind of expect that. I mean, I think one of the things I'm taking out of all of this is the Phillies are scoring runs. Even though they lost tonight, they still put up 4 runs. If they could have gotten another one, if they can average 5 runs a game, they're going to win more games than they're losing. So, I mean, especially when you have the top 3 in Wheeler, Nola, and Ranger going. I mean, majority of those games, those top 3, you're scoring 5 runs. That's 3-0 right there. You know what I mean? And then you have to worry about Sanchez and Spencer, or even Taijuan Walker at this point. We don't know where he's going to be thrown in, if he's going to be thrown in. But my biggest thing when it comes to Walker is this. They pay him all this money. And I know we've talked about this to nauseum, especially after last year's playoffs. They signed him to 4 years. I think it was between 15 and 20 million per season. He has a pretty good season. He has a pretty good record during the season, but that's because he was getting run support. All regular season, he was still putting up big runs in the first couple innings, and then it seemed like he would settle down and the offense would take over and he would end up getting the win. But when it came to the playoffs, he sat in that bullpen and didn't even get up to warm up or stretch or anything. Well, there wasn't a start, there wasn't a bullpen appearance, there was absolutely nothing. I don't even know why he was on the active roster for the playoffs. If you can't trust him when you're paying him that much money for that many years, why are we even considering putting him in the starting lineup now? You had no trust for him in the playoffs. I honestly am to the belief that his little shoulder twinge, the whatever it was, the pinched nerve, whatever it is, to put him on the IL to begin the season, I think that was BS. I think they did not want him in the starting rotation. They wanted him to be able to do rehab associations to where it didn't look bad, and then he can try and work things out. And he got rocked in his rehab assignments. But now they have to bring him up because they're paying him all this money, and yet they're shoving him back in our faces, and we don't know if there's going to be even trust again when they make to the playoffs. What message is this sending us?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with you, Joe, a little bit. I think they definitely kept him down to season him a little bit more. I know they said a lot of things. They said about the Phillies not getting out to the start that they were hoping, between the sicknesses that kind of ran through him in Clearwater and every guy not getting their at-bats that they were hoping. Maybe he fell into that a little bit more. He did have a little shoulder twinge, and they just kind of played it up to give him time to go on a stint. And they were hoping that the bats would be hot enough and Spencer Turnbull would be okay enough to keep them in there. And he's been better than I guess they ever kind of expected him to be in this situation. But, yeah, I mean, if they don't trust him, like you said, they didn't trust him in a big spot last year. They won the bullpen game last year in that NLCS. We forget that.
Yeah, that's true.
They went with a bullpen game, and they could not trust him enough, who was, I guess, last year he would have been our number 4, so he should have been in that position. But whatever, he lost, I mean, his arm went dead or he lost velocity, and he kind of came at them too. Like, there's a little disconnect between them and him and the organization at one point. They said they buried it, whatever. Yeah, no. They said they buried it, but at the same time, that could have been lip service as well too. So we don't know. But like I said, he's down in the minors. He ain't looking that great to begin with. I know both Sanchez and Turnbull's these last two starts tonight and last night, not wonderful, but doesn't mean that's going to happen every. The team wasn't playing well tonight. I mean, it was an all around not a great game from the team, from the pitching staff, from soup to nuts. I don't know what would happen. Hopefully, they don't treat tomorrow like a getaway game. They can at least split the series. Like I said, I'll be on the call tomorrow around 4-ish when the game ends, and kind of bring you guys through the split, and then we'll talk about the San Diego series and all that kind of stuff. But it's they just got to split. They got to win. I mean, you're going to have Zach Wheeler on the hump, so that's going to be a huge plus for them before they travel west and play a couple later games. But like I said, I'm very encouraged from what I've seen so far. Doing baseball coverage, one thing like you and I have to remind people, it's 162 games. This is not a sprint; it's a marathon. Right. So you're going to go through some clunkers. You're going to have a couple games in a row. It would have been nice to see them bounce back tonight and get the win. So tomorrow could be a little bit more of a getaway game if they were going to have a split of the series. But again, this team can come alive and just beat this team. Like they are a very good team. To say they were the best bullpen, number one bullpen in the MLB was a bit of a stretch, even by my thoughts, and we're Phillies fans. But they're still a very good bullpen. They just had a bad night tonight in my eyes.
Yeah.
And like I said, getting 3 runs out of your, if Spencer Turnbull went 6 innings and 3 runs, that would be a good night any day of the week. If I told you that going into the year, Joe, his worst night was going to be 6 innings and 3 runs let up, you'd be happy with that.
100%. If he goes 6 every outing and gives up 3 runs every outing, he has a 3 ERA. I am fine with it.
Absolutely. Guys, I remind you that we've been busy here this week already, and it's just getting busier, and we're gonna be hitting it hard here. 31 shows on the docket this week, Joe. 31. This probably has to be a record right now. It would have been 32 if Matty B wasn't on vacation for his birthday. And by the way, happy birthday, Matty B. But it would have been 32 if he was actually here. But tonight, yesterday we had 8 shows. Tonight we only 6 or 5 shows or whatever. We took it easy on Wednesday, I guess. But tomorrow we're back with Trending in the AM with Phil. The Fly Like an Eagle podcast will be early at 5:15, and then at 7:00 the NFL draft will kick off. Like we showed you guys earlier, we got the crack staff here of Shane, Ryan, Mark, Dave, and Dives. Bringing it all there. I'll be behind. I won't be on the screen. You want to hear my voice or see my ugly face? I'll be the guy putting the graphics up on the screens. Listen, they got graphics for everybody, like the top 100, 200 guys, breakdowns, Raz cards, the whole 9 yards. It's not going to be just the guys talking about whatever until the Eagles go to pick. It's going to be a breakdown of everything and how it looks for that team moving forward. So great in-depth coverage here at EoP. You'll have it tomorrow night as well as Friday night. And then again, Joe and I will be behind the scenes, putting up all the social media posts, putting up all the stuff on the website. Please stay tuned for all that. And again, check out Phil every Monday through Friday here on EoP from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Kicking your mornings off right. I say it all the time. Break the dial off. You don't need to listen to anybody else. You can put it on in your car too. You just slap your phone in there. Everybody's got Bluetooth nowadays. So check it out. The morning show where your opinions actually matter. Phil Stifle, it was Trending in the AM here, new to EoP. Other than that, we got nothing else going on here, Joe.
To say the least.
I literally took off work from tomorrow and Friday because I'm like, it's too much. It's too much.
Right.
So
totally
yeah, there'll be a lot going on. And like a reminder that we will be back at the Streetlight Kitchen and Bar, 5400 Fern Boulevard in Drexel Hill, PA, the Holiday Inn and Suites. So the Fighting Finals, they are our newest sponsor of the Streetlight Kitchen and Bar, but we will be doing our second pre and post game May 11th. It's the Saturday before Mother's Day. So bring mom out, bring your wife out, sister, whoever. Their brunch beforehand leading right up to it. They have a great food menu for during it, as well as great drink specials. And if the weather holds up, we will be outside in the warm weather with the outdoor bar and the big TV. You can watch the game out there in the beautiful sunlight and check it on out. A great afternoon game. So come on out. And by the way, we didn't mention this before. Joe is not happy again, but it's okay. It's okay. We took his tickets again, and there will be 2 more tickets to give away.
Yeah.
And Anne-Marie
guess-
Genter was a winner last time. She could tell you you have a chance to be the winner next time. Joe, we will get you new tickets, I promise you. But thank you for giving them up.
I need to get a new security system. I don't know how you guys have been getting into my house and getting these tickets from me, but it needs to stop, and it needs to stop now.
Hey, Drew will do
However-
anything for a bag of Doritos.
It's true. Give them some.
I think he froze again there, Joe. But yeah, so guys, like I said, we got a lot coming up here. Please join us. Please check out all our sponsors. We have a lot covering, but tomorrow it's where we hit the ground. Sorry, Joe, you froze there for a second.
Yep.
But go ahead, get your final shots, your final parting shots here.
I can't wait for the draft.
Uh-oh. Joe can't wait for the draft. All right, Joe. We're gonna head out because Joe keeps freezing up here. That means they're telling us to go. But don't go anywhere. Fighting's final is going on right now with Mike Lauro. So check it on out. Other than that, I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joe Sheeran.
And we out.